So to anybody watching, if you saw the title of this video, you probably think I'm a boomer or something. No, I'm actually 28, and I think sports betting needs to be stopped. And here's why. Right? So whether you are a sports bettor, whether you've never sports betted, maybe you just see all the thousands of commercials. Here's why I think it's bad and why it takes advantage of, well, really mostly men, but just your everyday average guy, and why people just don't stand a chance. Not only does it hurt the consumer, it just lines the pockets of greedy corporations and celebrities, ultimately, who engage in these advertisements. So why sports betting needs to be stopped. So sports betting is an extenuation from the casinos. I actually worked at a casino in college, and I was a valet, so I just parked people's cars. But I would see people come in, and then I would see people leave, right? And I mean, I have 1,000 stories, but this lady came out one day, and her husband was still in the casino, but she came out to me and she said, we just lost our mortgage payment in there. And, I remember just being like, what do you say to that? I was just like, holy cow, I'm so sorry. Of course I'm not getting tipped either. So I'm like kind of over it. Like, of course I have sympathy, but, it's not actually uncommon for people to go into a casino and lose their rent, their mortgage, their car payment, literally anything. And this would happen on quite often, right? And not necessarily people telling me that they lost their house payment, but casinos exist because they win, right? Casinos don't usually lose really ever, right? In the long term, the edge is in the casino's favor. Sports betting is an extenuation of the casinos. Sports betting, if you've done it, how the odds work. There is, I forget the word off the top of my head. It's like, I think they call it either a rake or something like that, to where whenever you actually place a bet that's a 50-50 odds, the odds are not plus 100, plus 100. It's like minus 110, minus 110. So no matter what you bet on, the casino is actually taking a little bit of the money as like a commission. And even if you win that bet, you basically make a bet as if you were playing like a blackjack hand or another bet in a casino. And if you know anything about casinos, you know that you really can't be a winner long term, because the casinos are set up for there to be no long-term winners. And now that the rise of sports betting has kind of engulfed most of the United States, I know not every state legalized it. I live in Missouri, and we just voted for it, and now it will come into effect at some point this year. But the big problem that I see, right, is sports have been part of our culture since, I guess maybe like the 1800s, really the late 1800s, and we've been adding sports continually. And people really, really, really love sports, obviously, right? And what sports betting allows to happen is people in the comfort of their home watching their favorite sport can whip out their iPhone in a matter of seconds and place a bet on that game. And why that's bad, right? Because a lot of people that are like, oh, that's really cool, right? But why that's bad is now it allows people to start gambling almost instantaneously, right? Same thing kind of in the sense of like, not that long ago, there was no online purchases. Like, you couldn't order something online, and nowadays you can. And there's goods and bads. There's a good side and a bad side to that. But it's not good in the sense that, when it comes to ordering a product you need, yeah, it's great that I can order that online and I can get it shipped to my door. But in the sense of gambling, I think what inhibits a lot of people from gambling is you actually have to get in your car and drive to the casino, right? And that's a big inhibitor. But now that you can sports bet from your couch, right, it's gotten to the point where it can trap people in, and especially young men, really younger than me, but around my age as well, because you're already watching the game. You want to put a few bucks on it, and then it goes from there, right? Maybe you'll win your first couple bets. Maybe you'll lose. Maybe you want to put a parlay, place a parlay, a same game parlay, whatever it is. At the end of the day, you will more than likely lose a lot of money. And what this does is it entraps the younger generation to basically start gambling at a younger age, right? All you need is essentially a smartphone. Age verification, I don't even think is that crazy anymore. Maybe they're cracking down on it, but I'm sure there's high schoolers who sit and just watch and sports bet too, right? And so if somebody has a personality where they are heavily addictive, or they have a very addictive personality, sometimes it's for gambling, sometimes it's alcohol, sometimes it's other things. But if they have a personality that could be addicted to gambling, then what'll happen is it'll start at a much younger age, and that could carry and end up ruining their life going forward. And to anybody listening that thinks I might be over exaggerating this, just think of another time, and you probably won't be able to, where gambling was something that you could do anywhere you wanted, right? A lot of states don't even allow casinos. But now all of a sudden, sports betting has become part of our culture. And I want to get into my next point here, is how many celebrities are endorsing sports betting. Every time I watch a game, there is Kevin Hart, LeBron. Oh man, I feel like The Rock. I feel like Dwayne The Rock Johnson was part of it too. Literally any celebrity. FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, Circus Sports. There are so many nowadays. There's a sports book. Literally, there's a sports book in every state, right? And then you have your big ones too. And they're endorsing these things, and if you think about it, they're really endorsing this to young men. I don't think a lot of older men are sports betting. I don't think really any women are sports betting. But there's this age range, probably from 18 to like 40, right? And they're entrapping us into this culture of, oh, it's okay to sports bet. It's okay to continue to gamble like you would at a casino, but in your home. And I get it. Sports betting can be fun, right? But it's not geared for you to win, right? Maybe you're that guy that won that $1,000 parlay. Maybe you're that guy who's never won a sports bet before. I don't know. But long term, you won't win money as much as you think you will. And the craziest thing out of everything is that even if you do start winning money at a rate that the sports books don't like, they can legally limit your betting or even kick you off the app that you bet on. Craziness. So if you're winning too much, or if you're winning percentages too much, they can kick you off the app, or they can limit you so you don't win too much from them. Like, if that's not corrupt, I don't know what corruption is at that point, right? So I want to kind of conclude here, but all I want to say, and I probably sounded like a big boomer or a big hater, and I kind of am, because I've had people in my life kind of get caught up with sports betting and lose a lot of money. And knowing that it's not better than a casino, having worked at a casino in college, I just know how it just somehow legally manipulates you and entraps you into a long-term addiction. And so let me end with two things. Number one, be very careful when you start sports betting. You'll see commercials that basically say free money, bet $5, you get 200, free 200, this. Your first bet will be free, this and that, because they entrap you into hoping you get addicted and continue to sports bet on their app. So be very careful. Number two, what I would ultimately say is, if your state hasn't legalized sports betting, I would just highly consider or want you to consider not voting for it. Even though it might seem like something that is inevitable, it's not you that's getting rich. The person, the person listening to this, you're not getting rich. As much as you think you'll get rich from sports betting or you'll make money, chances are you won't, right? Like, you would have to make a couple bets and you'd have to hit those and you'd have to quit forever, which is probably not going to happen, right? All we're doing is lining the pockets of corporations that do not care about you, right? They don't care. They don't care if you win. Of course, they don't want you to win, but they don't care. Right? It's all about profits, and it's all about these corporations trying to make a buck off you. So in the future, I hope that we can essentially try and put these sports books out of business, or at least as many as we can, to where it's just not as profitable. And, hopefully we can save the younger generations from falling into a trap that I see. If I had to look into the future, I see 20 years down the road where sports betting on your phone in your couch is causing people to lose literally everything. And I don't want to see that. And so, whether how old you are, whether or not you agree with my take on this, I just urge you to see it from my point of view as something that could be very harmful to not only the younger generations, but to you as the listener of this video. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Make your own decisions when it comes to sports betting. Just know that the odds are never in your favor, and the only people that really win are the casinos, and they suck. So more to come. Thanks for watching.